somehow.
A very pleasant night, my Straight Talk family in St. Kitts and Nevis, and to my Straight Talk family throughout the entire Eastern Caribbean. To my Straight Talk family in the Kittitian and Nevisian diaspora, I say greetings to all who are logged on to Straight Talk with Ian Patches Liburd on social media, on Facebook and or YouTube. There are some of you all over the world. Some of you in Africa. There's some of you in Europe. There's some of you in Asia. And there are a whole lot of you in North America. So I'm at liberty to say good night. I can say good morning. And I will say good afternoon, because one of such greetings will be applicable through the region in which you now find yourselves. And for those of you who may have joined me for the first time, as the word just keeps spreading, that Straight Talk is on air every Monday and Thursday from 8 to 10 in the PM. So we want to welcome the first timers, and just to inform you that Straight Talk is a public service program that facilitates and promotes free expression on all issues of national interest, be they legal, be they environmental, be they technological, social, economic, and or political issues. On Straight Talk, you do have a forum to express yourselves freely. On this program, we also try to raise the level of national consciousness. We try to raise the level of national discourse by alerting our people to their rights, to their responsibilities, and certainly to their obligations. My name is Ian Patches Liburd, and I give Almighty God thanks for blessing me with yet another opportunity to join you in conversation on yet another occasion. And tonight, I have chosen to entitle my thesis tonight, The Greatest Betrayal of the Poor. And we have been betrayed. We have been betrayed since August 2022. We all anticipated a new day and a better way, but that was not to be. But I will first consider our usual observations in review before I get into my thesis. And it's a time when we highlight the issues of the day and do some reflection. We do some reflection on matters we have touched. We may then ask a few questions, such as what was accomplished, how is it has helped others, what has changed since, and what can be expected next. Also, what new we have learned as a people. And as we reflect, we still have not heard from our Prime Minister. He has not responded to a question first posed to him some 7 months ago, and in November to be exact, when he was asked by a reporter how many passports have been sold under our Citizenship by Investment program, and how many certificates of registration he himself has signed since he has assumed office. As we understand, he has signed approximately 4,000. And it's becoming a concern to many people, and rightly so, especially since he's doing all these shuttles between North America and the UK and elsewhere, and meeting our diaspora community, and that's good. But you see, he's having quite a lot of internal problems, we know, and he's ensuring he put together as some form of surety the overseas vote. So don't take that lightly, my Straight Talk family. When you see he's gone to England, returns home on Wednesday, leaves on Friday for the USA, and doing these fast shuttles, there are reasons behind them. But we still need to remind the Prime Minister that the country needs to know how many passports are out there. It would be great to know the nationalities as well, because we hear there are quite a lot of Chinese, there are quite a lot of Russians, and the different nationalities. But the fact is, though, that every single citizen has a vote. And if there are 30,000 or more of those citizens out there, then we all have to be wary as citizens, because we here already are getting a government that we did not vote for in that, and I say we, meaning those of us who reside here. When we get these overseas votes come in today, leave tomorrow, and leave us with a government that we have not chosen. That's why so many people here are suffering, because we got the government we did not choose. But our first observation, our second observation, I should say rather, that over the last few days, the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis police force has been in the spotlight. Over the last few days, community policing, as well, as I said, has been in the spotlight over the internal wrangling, I call it, of the for the keys of the Explorers Club at Malfield. The nation learned of the feud between the police high command when a video went viral with a young police officer really telling his story publicly and in uniform. This is part of what the officer said.
And I'm asking, what have we done? We just give 100 and I don't even know, we just 500% to our jobs, because it's not a job for us. It's our livelihood. It's something that we enjoy doing, and we like to see that these children, they are on the right path. So it's not about a paycheck. It's not about a job. It's about ensuring that these children are on the right path. So tell me, why are you guys pushing so hard to make people fed up? To make people want to leave? To make people want to just say, I am done with everything? Why? What have we done? What have we done?
And that's pointed question coming from that officer. I understand is Officer McSheen, Fernando, who has since been removed from the community policing which he has spent so much time with and loved so much. But there are 12 or 13 explorers clubs already established in different communities around St. Kitts. And I stand to be corrected. I believe that there may be one on the Nevis. And we have learned as well that the membership is approximately 1,400 children or more. Inspector Rosemary Isles, on her own initiative, launched the first club in Malville almost 6 years ago in June 2017. And these clubs run after-school programs, field trips, and camping opportunities during school holidays, and have a particular focus on cadet parade, that's the cadet corps parade, and drill to help build discipline and togetherness. But whatever went wrong with the keys, the Commonwealth Points of Light awardee Inspector Rosemary Isles did not mince her words, and she went public as well to the parents and said this.
Good morning, parents. I'm so happy to see that parents are responding. It is unfortunate that most parents are not speaking out, because we started this thing for your children, the betterment of your children. When the school burnt down, I was the one who offered them to use the building, because more than 50% of the children of that school at the time was an explorer child. And that is why I felt fitting that they should use the building, because majority of the children that was there were explorers. But now I find that this is ridiculous and the lies. And before, they call a meeting to find out what the real problem is. The Commissioner of Police sent Superintendent David along with a member of Public Works Department yesterday and changed the locks to the exterior door of the building without saying anything to me or the other officers. And imagine we come back to the building, don't have a key. The head teacher saw us, and she know that we didn't have no key, and she locked the door, shut the gate, and turned off. And now this morning, the commissioner want to hand me a key. No, this is ridiculous. It is disrespectful, very disrespectful.
And Inspector Rosemary Ayers was not standing for what she called the disrespect from her commissioner. But subsequently, on the 12th of May, that's last week, Friday, she received a memorandum from the force personnel officer, Clifton, I think, Gabay is his name, or Clifford Gabay, I should say, which read, and I quote, "I have been directed to inform you that the High Command of the police force has agreed that you be transferred from community policing to Bastia Police Station Beat and Patrol, and the transfer is effective Monday 15th, 2023. Please be guided accordingly." Addressed to Inspector Rosemary Isles. But Straight Talk hopes that the Police High Command will not lose focus, nonetheless, on the continued protection and development of these at-risk youths in St. Kitts and Nevis, many of whom must thank Inspector Isles and the Explorer Community Youth Clubs for helping them to turn away from the temptations of crime and gang violence. Our second observation as well relates to the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis police force. And it relates to a memorandum circulated by the Permanent Secretary, Cecile Hull. And it in effect reads that the Ministry of National Security is moving expeditiously to improve the leadership and fill emerging vacancies, beg your pardon, at the Assistant Commissioner of Police level, ACP level, within the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force. And the explanation or functions of the ACP are outlined. But we find it very strange, though, because according to the Police Act, and it's referred to as emerging vacancies, I at the moment pondered what in fact is the status of the vacancy as we speak. But this memorandum is dated 9th of May 2023. And we know some officers, or one officer for sure at the high level in the police command, has proceeded or is about to proceed on vacation or leave. But the Police Act speaks to temporary appointments, acting and temporary appointments at section 15, and it states under subsection 1, where an acting appointment falls to be made otherwise than as a prelude to a substantive appointment, the commission, that should mean the police commission, may, as a general rule, recommend the most senior officer in the police force eligible for that acting appointment, and the person recommended shall be required to assume and discharge the duties and responsibilities of the rank to which he is appointed to act. Where an acting appointment falls to be made as a prelude to a substantive appointment, the commission shall, as a general rule, follow the procedures and principles applicable to selection for promotion as provided for section 16 of the Act. And my Straight Talk family, section 16 speaks to promotions for non-gazetted police officers. But one gets the sense, nonetheless, that there is a deliberate politicizing of the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force that has at the helm a commissioner of police who is green in the job and who reports to an inexperienced permanent secretary who we are told has yet to surrender her academic qualifications. And she reports to a minister who has absolutely no experience in managing anything, much less national security. But Straight Talk is watching this movement very closely, because the superintendent in line, we understand, is one Superintendent Diane Mills. So then, according to the Act, the Police Act, it seems to me obvious that the most senior officer in the police force eligible for that acting appointment as ACP is Superintendent Diane Mills. I stand to be corrected. But again, we are looking at this very closely. I will keep you posted on this, what we call politicizing of the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force under this new Minister of National Security. And our third observation relates to the sad news, my Straight Talk family, of another homicide in our country, bringing the total for 2023 to 11 murders, 10 of which were gun-related. And this is what was reported by Jason Davis of ZIZ TV just today. My Straight Talk family.
The police are investigating a fatal shooting incident that occurred on Sunday at Lower Monkey Hill. The incident claimed the life of 21-year-old Wani Richardson of Lower Monkey Hill. Reports indicate that Mr. Richardson briefly left his home shortly before 10 p.m. A short while later, he was found with multiple gunshot wounds about the body. He was pronounced dead at the scene.
My Straight Talk family, this is not good news. It's also sad news. Because under Terence Drew, our Prime Minister and Minister with responsibility for national security, there's an overall total of 19 murders in his 9 months as Prime Minister. The robberies are also on the rise in the Federation. And this has caused consternation amongst the populace. Just last week we spoke of a charge and the discontinuance of this charge for gun possession and ammunition, and the discontinuance by our acting director of public prosecutions. But my Straight Talk family, we must pray to the Almighty that we're not going back where we came from. Those are my observations in review for tonight. And my Straight Talk family, I won't hesitate to embark upon my thesis, which I said earlier in the event you have just joined me. I have entitled The Greatest Betrayal of the Poor. And dependent upon the source of your information, you would read that the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party is a center-left political party, and according to Wikipedia, it may very well be the oldest active political party in the English-speaking Caribbean. However, you will glean from its website that the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party is a social democratic party that was formed in 1932 and was an organization that was brought into existence to give ordinary people a voice in the social, economic, and political development in this country. Now, social democracy, it is said, is a political ideology responsible for promoting the direct intervention of the state in the economy in the context of a capitalist society. The objective of such an intervention is to be able to redistribute income in a more social way, ensuring that the welfare state and the general interest. The main goal of social democracy is to reduce levels of inequality within an economy. As young boys and girls growing up in St. Kitts and Nevis, I'm sure we will remember that we were taught that the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party represented the majority of the working people or as many would put it, the Labour Party represented the masses, who were then referred to as the common people of society, who were mostly agricultural labourers of low social status. We were also taught that it was an organization that was brought into existence to give ordinary people a voice in the social, economic, and political development in the country. And I believe that it was in this context, its longest-serving leader and our first national hero, the Right Excellency Sir Robert Llewellyn Bradshaw, acquired the sugar lands in 1975 in an attempt to save the sugar industry from collapse, and in the process protect the lives or livelihoods of the sugar workers. So revered was Bradshaw by the ordinary people, in particular, that I can still imagine hearing my grandmother with her usual chant, "Power to the people, power to the people," she would say, because Papa Bradshaw, as he was affectionately called, acquired the sugar lands in the name of the people. One thing as a young man growing up, though, I hated when my grandmother would say that Papa Bradshaw gave her shoes because she worked so hard. Me too. As I had to shell, then grind the cocoa for the chocolate she made, grate the cassava for the cassava bread she made, grate the coconut for the sugar cakes and coconut tarts she sold, and helped to stuff the links, we called them back then, for her famous Mrs. Liburd black pudding. So Bradshaw never gave her shoes, because it was her husband George Liburd, who was the government shipwright who repaired those wooden lighters and built his own fishing boats that he put to work to make ends meet. True Mama left her husband George, my grandfather, and worked hard on her own. But I still contend that Bradshaw never gave her shoes. But that was just the way everyone revered Bradshaw. My only issue, though, was this. Bradshaw acquired the lands in the name of the people, but he never distributed those lands amongst the people. Why, you may ask? It is my view, and for a long time now, and I've espoused that view, and I've had different responses. But it is my view that Bradshaw was afraid that if he gave us lands, if he distributed the lands amongst his people, we would, we would have all developed that sense of independence, and he would have lost his control over us.
Sugar estate. In fact, we are 68 square miles. We have 68 sugar estates here in this country. My government, proud of its record in the past, in the 70s, 75 in particular, nationalized the entire sugar industry. And so the lands were taken in the name of the people. Of course, they were paid. The planters who owned it, they were paid. Mr. Bradshaw, our first national hero, the Right Excellency Sir Robert Llewellyn Bradshaw, he did that act. It is now my time to distribute those lands.
Well, that time of Douglas to distribute the lands never came. It wasn't Bradshaw who paid for them. But the time that Douglas and the opportunity that Douglas had to distribute the lands never came. So Douglas, instead of giving us that sense of independence as he promised, he swapped our lands for the high debt that he accumulated while trying to keep the sugar industry alive. and not close it over his dead body as he promised. It was Harris, nonetheless, who paid $200 million to help reclaim some of those lands for the poor people in this country.
We paid out over $200 million on the land for debt swap to reclaim lands for the poor.
And my straight talk family, I don't know what Timothy Harris would have done to give our people that sense of independence as well. But my straight talk family, the fact is, the majority of our people remain landless. They have no access to land, do not privately own land. Landlessness is the state in which many find themselves, state of being without land. But what about housing? What is the current disposition of housing in St. Kitts? And I speak specifically to St. Kitts. And according to Drew's special advisor in housing, this is where we are right now in terms of housing.
Where we are now in terms of housing. Presently, there are approximately 3,800 plus applications at NHC. 3,800 plus applications. Look at the nature of the applications. Approximately 70 to 75% of those applications stem from 2016 up to 2021, 2022. Most of those, if not all, are under the previous administration. We know, we have said it several times, that the deliverance of housing was not sufficient under the previous administration. So we commit ourselves, knowing the track record that we had before, that we will deliver 2,000 homes, and we are set now to go even past that.
But my straight dog family, irrespective of the tendency to look back, and as I normally say, drive the car in the rearview mirror. The fact is that the NHC by law has been given a mandate to construct affordable low-income housing for the poor and vulnerable in our country. But how many of these 3,800 applicants have the ability to pay for an NHC house without undermining, without impairing their ability to meet their basic living costs? These are pertinent questions because although NATO would try to say it started under team unity, nothing further from the truth. Because under the Douglas Labour administration, my straight dog family, under the Douglas Labour administration, the people were crying. The people were crying for housing, for shelter. And this was the cry of a poor woman in this country years ago.
I would like to know, how am I working undepaid for $320? Could take for $700 NHC house.
So it was long before Team Unity, Mr. NATO. And this was the response of a prime minister back then.
You see, there are some people who seem to think that, well, the government must provide everything for them. You get them a house, but this person wants the government to provide a PEP salary and still to pay for the house. After all, man, people need to have a conscience. You understand?
But my straight dog family, tonight we're not going to look back. But tonight we're going to advance the salient point that the right to housing is a human right that is critical to a person's health, dignity, safety, inclusion, and contribution to their community. Additionally, governments, I strongly believe, have a social obligation to provide affordable housing for all citizens. I said before on this forum that the NHC Act was established for the purpose of adding and improving the existing supply of residential housing. I just spoke to their mandate. And to encourage and promote greater efficiency in the housing sector. The NHC Act further specifies that the functions of the corporation shall be, amongst other things, to provide housing for the indigent and infirm. That's what the Act says at Section 1, subsection C. So the legislative instruction to NHC is pellucid, very clear. Provide housing for the poor. But Dr. Drew has ignored this instruction. He has ignored this mandate and the obligation of his government and replaced it with a private agreement with East Coast Housing Development. That, I say, is a betrayal of the poor people of St. Kitts Nevis to sign a contract with one Trinidad man to build 2,400 houses. He gave one man 2,400 houses to build, then come now to tell us that local contractors will build them. Drew has decided that he will pay more to earn profit rather than building quality houses. He has kicked us as a people when we are down. Drew, my straight dog family, is heartless. Look at what he did with the thousands of people in St. Kitts Nevis who live below the poverty line. The betrayal has been most stinging for them from politicians who promise a new day and a better way. My straight dog family. He promised to mend the PAP, but instead he plans to end the PAP, which has been so helpful for many of the poor people in St. Kitts and Nevis. We've heard that time and time again.
It is not EASY. It is not easy. And do not be fooled. Do not let no nice show and no nice thing fool you. The $500 we are getting now from the PAP thing, it is so helpful. I wish they could triple it up. It's so helpful. It comes in so handy.
And he wants to end it. Dr. Drew promised to increase the minimum wage to $500 and to introduce price control legislation so that the poor can have more money in their pockets, more disposable income, we call it. He promised to increase the minimum wage.
The St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party will recharge and revolutionize our local economy. We will increase the minimum wage to $500 per week and introduce price control legislation to help you keep more money in your pocket.
My straight dog family, another betrayal for the poor. Drew announced that several investors who were waiting on the Labour Party have come forward. He said that, my straight dog family.
It's quite interesting that after the elections, a number of investors came forward. And they said, Dr. Joe, we had been waiting to invest in St. Kitts and Nevis. And they said, why you didn't do it then? And they said they couldn't do it under the last administration. They wanted to work with an administration that they think would be a more
Did
prudent
they give
administration.
reasons for that?
Yeah, I think that they felt like they were under duress in certain circumstances, to be frank. And they think that there might have been too much corruption in the system. And many of them stayed away as a result of that. But now a number of them have come forward. But we have also sought new opportunities, which we will also use as a means to help to develop our country. So we are looking at that, so they will have more, foreign investment that would help to stir the economy.
Again, my straight talk family, Dr. Drew betrayed the country with his ambitious plans, according to him, to stimulate the economy and create so many jobs. But was Brian Singh one of the investors that Dr. Drew said was waiting for a change? Was another investor living in China called Jerry, my straight talk family?
I live in China. My partner in China, we export all the goods throughout the CARICOM. So basically, everything comes into Guyana, and from Guyana, it then is shipped throughout the CARICOM.
What caused Dr. Drew, we ask, to hand Brian Singh this lucrative contract to supply 2,400 houses? We soon found out, my straight dog family. We soon found out as well that the manufacturing of the fiber cement boards was critical to the success of this project. The setting up of a factory was also addressed by Jerry.
We're actually bringing in a team to set up the factory and to instruct the local contractors how to use Creedform.
My straight talk family, the construction of 2 model homes is also stipulated in the contract, my straight talk family.
What this government put in place, the government said, look, in this arrangement, let us build 2 modular homes. 2 modular homes. It doesn't matter the size or whatever, 2 modular homes. After completing those 2 modular homes, we will decide if those houses are of the liking of the government via the people. Once these houses are acceptable, then it's, I'll just say, go man go. Let us build. After that, in 1 year, we will deliver 600.
You see, my straight dog family? You sign a contract, then you build the homes, and you will wait for the people to determine if they are suitable. And if they are, according to the advisor, it's go man go. However, there is no reference point whatsoever about the Creedform method or system to be used. So with a bated breath, the country will await Jerry and his team from China.
We have projects in St. Kitts, but because of the pandemic, everything stopped. And now we feel that this is the right time to start the process again. So we're the company registered, now we're promoting the system, and we're giving a promotion of $54 per square foot.
$54 per square foot. But through it all, my straight dog family, what is really troubling is the fact that quality housing is being sacrificed for money and for profit. This poor quality housing solution, introduced in a hurry and shrouded with secrecy until it appeared in the Trinidad newspapers, it will no doubt negatively impact upon the lives of a significant proportion of low-income households in St. Kitts, in terms of their health and well-being, as well as the financial burden to which they will be exposed over the life of the loan on these properties, if they take them. Because the project is laced with corruption. And many questions must be asked, my Straight Dog family. Who evaluated this $600 million project is one question. Was it special advisor to the Prime Minister, Leonato? Who or why would a company that never constructed one house be awarded a contract to build 2,400 houses? This is a sole source procurement for 2,400 houses. And the due administration must inform the country whether it was solicited or unsolicited, and or whether these houses could have only been constructed by this single source, my Straight Dog family. Not to say that there is no procurement needed for the largest single investment ever in housing in St. Kitts.
NAC doesn't have a building procurement process to build house. NAC builds house as it mandates by the NAC Act to build house, low income affordable houses.
So there's no procurement process that is needed for
an investment like this.
Okay.
There is none.
No procurement needed for an investment like this. But it happened in spite of the opinion of the Attorney General Garth Lucien Wilkin. But we are not surprised, because he has lost any moral authority since he too has broken the law, my Straight Dog family.
Our Procurement Act requires that there be a competitive bidding process. You create a Procurement Act so that when the government is spending money, it's known openly that it's getting value for money. Because they have some people who charge $5 for a service, and they have some people that charge $2,000 for the same service. Within the Act itself, it is a crime to breach the Act. It's a crime to enter into a contract without the procurement process being completed.
Interesting, my Straight Dog family. But when you examine, nonetheless, the return on investment and the fact that East Coast Housing Development is likely to make $63,000 on each single bedroom house, given the construction cost, according to Jerry, of US $54 or EC $146 per square foot, my Straight Dog family. East Coast Housing Development will make twice that amount on the 2 bedrooms and 3 times that amount on the 3 bedroom houses. Let's say we had 800 single bedrooms. That's at 63,000, $50,400,000. 800 2-bedroom houses at $121,410. That's $97,128,000. And on the 3-bedroom houses, $135,432,000. An expected profit of $282.9 million. The fact that in this $600 million project, to construct these substandard houses. East Coast Housing Development is anticipated that it would yield a profit of $282.9 million for all the stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders? Brian, Jerry, Drew, Nato, who else? But they would yield a profit of $282.9 million. And this, to me, my Stray Dog family, is the greatest betrayal of the poor. That's my story tonight, and I am not going to change it. I'll open the lines right now and entertain your calls and your emails. The numbers, if you're so minded to call, my Stray Dog family, are 869-663-6672 and or 646-829-6672. Again, that overseas number, 646-829-6672. We accept WhatsApp calls on that number. I also want to implore you, as I normally do, I open the lines in a few seconds. Respect others. And of course, to achieve that, you must first respect yourselves. Let us try to be fair to all concerned. Let us try to build goodwill and better friendship. Let us ensure that the things we say and or do will be beneficial to all concerned. And in the process of saying and doing those things, let's try to or strive to build a kinder, gentler St. Kitts and Nevis. It's now 8:53. I go to the lines. Caller, you live.
Good evening, Mr. Liburd.
Good evening, sir.
I've been listening to you for the last couple of sessions about this so-called housing project.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to try to be as extremely respectful as I can, as difficult as it is, as I listen to the intellectual nonsense I'm hearing. First and foremost, I offer the government of St. Kitts some, okay, before we even go that far, that's what I offer. Let me ask you, St. Kitts is a country with 40 years old?
Could you repeat that, sir?
St. Kitts is 40 years old as an independent country?
Coming up in September, we will be.
Okay, so I'm trying to have a conversation with you. So please bear with me, please.
Certainly, that's what Straight Up is all about.
No, in those 40 years, how many hurricanes have St. Kitts had?
That's a question I'll have to. I won't guess. We had several hurricanes though. Every year the hurricane
at least six. At least six. Okay, no, I'm not trying to insult you.
No. Well, we have hurricanes every year, but we don't necessarily have damage from hurricanes every year. That makes a difference.
Okay. No, I'm not trying to insult you, but let me ask you, as a father, if your daughter or your wife was having problems with her European troops, would you take it to a dentist to get the problem solved?
Well, I take that as a rhetorical question, so let's just proceed.
Okay, now, the reason I brought it up, I said, actually, how many hurricanes? Now, St. Kitts has had more than 6 hurricanes in the last 40 years. In the last 100 years, St. Kitts only had 2. One in the south and one in the north. So how are you going to get a contractor from Trinidad to build houses in a hurricane belt and expect to get a product that's viable? That's my first question, first thing to consider. Okay, now having said that, you remember those houses that were being built and the Labour administration that's located over the Beach Island School, those are smaller houses. When I look at those houses and I went to look at the foundation and I saw the nonsense those children were building for my people, I set in motion to make a proposal to the government to build some houses for them. I got a group together, and it was not going to cost the government a dime. I gotten the commitment from Scotiabank to do the interim financing. My proposal to Dr. Douglas, who was then the Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, was we would build 10 houses, the houses in lots of 10. And after they are inspected and approved by public works, because they would have met the building criteria or the building code of the Federation, the government will pay for them. At no time at all would the government be out the money. So we would build houses in blocks of 10. Those 10 get inspected, they get approved and accepted. And then the government pay for those 10 and we build 10 more. Now, Dr. Timothy Harris, in his wisdom as Minister of Housing and being egotistical, took offense to a meeting. And that's when I recognized that Dr. Douglas was not really in charge of things, because the disrespect that Dr. Timothy Harris exhibited in the meeting, in the days of the race Robert Lawrence Butcher, that very day, he would have lost his ministry. That very day, but Dr. Douglas had been very patient with the man. And I hear people give him all kind of high praise and kudos. And he's one of the biggest angels to the growth of changes. Now, when I came with the houses, I brought it was all Caribbean people. I brought the attorney was from Montserrat. The architect had Montserratian parents, and I had a petition. We sat there, we showed the government a presentation, a video presentation. I can tell you the houses that we showed them, the technology had surpassed or withstand the forces of Hurricane Hugo in 1989. So here we were here I was in 1999 talking to Dr. Douglas. And what spoiled the whole thing was that Dr. Harris felt because he was Minister of Housing that he should have chaired the meeting. I called on Dr. Douglas to chair the meeting because as Minister of Finance and as Prime Minister, he has to be able to say whether or not the country could afford it, no matter what Dr. Harris had liked. Even he had liked the program, but he decided to scuttle the program and did a lot of nonsense and assess that turn off the group. So to say that Dr. Ju is doing nonsense, the government of St. Kitts had an opportunity long before he came around. Now, I'm also okay. I haven't said that. I want the people of St. Kitts to understand that when they're picking leaders, they must go back and look at the late Robert Llewellyn Butcher and the late Caleb Azariah Paul Sultan. Now, what those two men had in common with St. Kitts leaders need was those men read widely. Mr. Butcher academically was not the sharpest man, but he read widely. And the thing is that the South African leaders, I was in Trinidad when the Federation collapsed. So I understood the thinking of Trinidadians. And Dr. Williams, the late Dr. Williams, and the Trinidad public, they said, let us go independent and let the small islands drown in their blood. That was a direct quote. I was going to school in Maracas when the Federation collapsed. So I understood why we have to be very careful about bringing Trinidadians to this country to do those major projects. I'm saying to say that, and because again, I was not offering one bedroom house. I was offering 3-bedroom house for my people. Not only that, I will also show them design so they knew what they would see. I showed them something they could touch. I said, we gave them a video presentation. We gave them the specs on the homes and the technology we were going to use. And whether it would be labor intensive, we were going to use all local labor. And the local labor could have only benefited the Labour Party.
What would have been the cost of the houses?
Because a 3-bedroom house would have been like, we're talking around the same price. A 3-bedroom house will come into just about $125,000.
125,000?
A 3-bedroom house, the technology we use. Because it was conservative granted. That was, like I said, in 1999, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So I recognize the inflation and everything else, but I'm still saying that I gave the government an opportunity to get these houses without any cost to them, any upfront cost to them. Now you're going back into Trinidad to enter into a $2 billion contract. To get what? You really don't know what you're getting. You're not even buying a pig in a poke. Because you're not even sure if the man has a pig. But if he has a farm or he has a pig, so how are you going to sell your poke? I was saying to the government, these are the houses we're going to put up, we're going to give you. We are asking for anyone, they're going to build the houses in blocks of 10. You inspect them, and once you inspect them, we turn them over to you, and you give them to who you want.
So having said all of that, though, what is the point you're making tonight, the real point for the country?
The point I'm making is that it's to stop. We should not be out there trying to just criticize Dr. Drew for any efforts he's making when the Labour government, the previous Labour government, has blown all the good opportunities they had. Right now, I'm not sure we could put the group back together because it was so turned off with the dancing they had the Chanki's government.
Yeah, but,
I'm simply saying.
Sorry.
I'm simply saying that they had an opportunity to have good houses, and the Labour government is who Scotland. So if Dr. Drew is trying to do his best, he's going to make mistakes. Let's try and give him some sort of benefit of the doubt.
Don't you think fiber cement board houses is a grave mistake?
It could be. Mind you, like I told you, the houses that we were giving him had already survived hurricane. He was a wish he would remember with a very.
Well, but it's not a question of criticizing Dr. Drew. We're criticizing the unknowns of the development.
And for the man to tell you about they could withstand a category 10 hurricane. I mean, I was so angry that people think that criticism that's stupid. And they could survive a category 10. I showed Dr. Douglas what could have withstood a category 5 because it did. It wasn't something that was projected. The houses are still in St. Croix. They are still in St. Croix from that. They were built prior to 1989 hurricane. And those homes are still there, standing. The technology we were using then. I understand some of this modern technology, but I'm simply saying, if it's coming from a Trinidadian, be careful. That's all I'm saying. Be careful.
Okay. And you care to remain anonymous?
I'm sure most people would know who I am, but that's okay. Now, I don't need to create any more enemies because that's a thing that Chinese leaders have. The moment you have any kind of criticism to them, rather than listen to what you say and make them made a mistake, they decide to take you and make you enemy and see how they could try to destroy you. Okay. So I'm not out there trying to. I'm 77 years of age. I'm not trying to create any more enemies.
Okay, so how should the country and Dr. Drew interpret your your caution to be careful. Just abandon that project?
Well, first of all, do not. Well, he already signed a contract. How could you sign a contract? I mean, your attorney general going to watch you is going to allow you to sign a contract for something that you don't know to the point of $2 billion coming from Trinidad of all places. I mean, that is so absurd. I mean, yes, I would support that to do analysis efforts. You know what I'm saying? But this thing is just so much rubbish. I mean, I really can't find a more polite word to describe it. And I would think I would if there's any way that they could scale their project while they have time, the apparently the government do that and take his time and do that commit to 2,400 homes. That is just too much.
Okay.
That's just way too much.
Sound advice, Mr.
I mean, I'm saying let him build some and see what he's building. Now he can say he can give you two mother homes. Yes, he can build 2 mother homes, but that don't mean that the other project will be in line with the mother. My proposal was I was giving you the houses. Here there, let public works building people come in and see if it meets the construction code for the federation. We meet, you sign off on it, the government do us a check, and we move on to the next step.
Okay.
And I would simply say, and if he has to get something for the people, go with smaller quantities. I mean, it is too big a thing for if something goes wrong, the investment is too big for a small country like Singapore to come into $2 billion of the unknown. I don't think that's a smart thing to do.
And one final question, if I may. Are you speaking as an architectician?
I am a architectician.
Okay.
I was born in Martinite. I grew up in Kenya.
Okay.
Okay. Now I tell you, I left St. Kitts in 1956. I came back in 1997, and I managed the Switzerland. So everybody know who I am.
You manage what?
But the thing is,
you manage what?
I used to manage this Switzerland when you was in the Pelican Mall.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, but the thing is, and that's as far I can give you about my identity.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? When I started nonsense that the first group of children were being behind Betrayal in school.
Yeah.
I said my people should have come with doing these things. So I called my boy. I said, as a matter of fact, I got a copy of the drawing. I said, this is nonsense they're trying to put together. Can't we do something better? And that's what I brought to thinking. So I brought the architect and I brought the attorney. And we sat down and when Dr. Douglas secretary said, but don't you think you should have a meeting with the Minister of Housing and other families? I said, I'm not trying to have a meeting for a nonsense talk. I'm bringing an architect, I'm bringing an attorney for a serious conversation. What we're talking about as Minister of Finance, he must say what the government could afford. I would show everybody utmost respect. I'm saying that Dr. Harris was called that program.
But I said I'll ask you one more question. But forgive me, I'll ask you this final question. I know we've had you for a long time. I'm sure my Straight Talk fans will understand. But wouldn't you say, you refer to the houses, they are tailors, right? Am I correct?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say this? What is happening now brings back those memories? What Dr. Drew is doing with those houses?
Yes, it brings back the memories. And when I look at it, I said an answer because I had a chance to look at the foundation and see what they were putting in the foundation, quarter inch steel. I said, no people can't live in these nonsense.
Okay.
And that's what got me involved in it because I'm simply saying, those Trinidadian believe they're smart, and I'm simply saying that when they break up the federation, if you notice, you have to learn to read some more. And I want people to understand that I'm a pro-petition. No. Look at our money. The Eastern Caribbean, the rate Robert Llewellyn Brazil was the brainchild behind taking that at 2.7 the US dollar. It is still one of the most stable currency in the world after 50 years. The Eastern Caribbean, where did Trinidad anywhere crop?
I think that was South Florida, but I'll give you 30 more seconds to make your final words.
But what I'm simply saying is let's tread softly, and my advice to Dr. Ju is to, if he could get out of the contract, get it out now, and if he wants to re-enter into something smaller, let him try to give you 100 homes and see what you get. But not 2,400 homes. That is totally coming from places like St. Kitts, coming from people with questionable characters.
Okay, I think you've said it.
And that's all I'm saying.
Thanks a lot.
That's all I'm saying, sir.
Thank you very much for your input tonight. I'm sure they do listen to us at Straight Talk here, and I'm sure your advice, sound advice, would be taken on board. But thanks a lot for your input, sir.
And have a great night, sir.
Have a great night as well. Yes, my Straight Talk family, that call coming from then potential investor in 1999 said his project was scuttled by then Minister of Housing, Timothy Harris, but he has advised strongly against what Dr. Ju is doing. Caller? Are you there, caller? I want to thank you for holding. I'm really sorry about that, but thank you for holding, and I'm sure you understand.
Me don't understand. Me further stand the movement of love and care.
Okay, my brother.
Yeah, because me not come here in a corruption status, sir. Okay. Because me with a fire to burn and Babylon kingdom. Blessed night to your brother parties and blessed night to your listeners via radio and via internet, and you carry out your social media feeding through the concept of your YouTube and your Facebook, as they call it, Facebook. Now we like to enhance that. You bring out some details in your call it observation, and you bring out your details in your statement as a whole within your correspondence towards outlining the child to the poor. We say the whole formality where the graduate just outlined it just now, give an indication of the child full and the format of the contract signing, and where the age say you play about the Procurement Act. In the instance that we see, the people of St. Kitts and Nevis have to really get their things in full understanding and not just vote for representation by these criminal gangsters who we call as politicians people or political people. You know, you're going to tell I and I with all these things they are calling. One question I would like to ask, are the labor code laws governing these things here? When it comes to these building jacks?
Building code. When labor code deals with labor. I talk about building code.
Yeah, but you have codes in there where you have to have full assert within your expertise. It's not just by the signing contract. You have to make sure the ground levels them are safety too. That was the bridging was outlining there, you know.
Well, that's referred to as the building code. That's dealt with by the Development Control and Planning Board.
Because when you look at it, you know, each time now people start will go into the depths of how these people say they are representing them when it comes to agreement in signing contracts. And especially when it involves development around communities or development for the nation as a whole. Because it is not really grounded for the people to have assurance in what they are going to go into, implying to these people called representatives and advisors. Because the advisors are a set of jokers around here, you know. My all kind of people who are kind of money wastefully, and when the people who come in and lead the money for the needs that is there for them, they are hesitate upon that. So that's a waste of time of society we have on. You see, I'm not a critician and I'm not a division. I'm a revolution thinker within African concept, because we know about to this European aspect. Here the Virgin 40 years coming on for St. Kitts and Nevis to say they're independent nation. Not up to now, they nationalize the land for the people who they say they're representing. Is a fireborn upon that wicked act by a call a constitution one here. It's telling no revamp and realize those governors or general representing St. Kitts and Nevis people, representing the whole cook. But I call a monarchy up there. That's why you see we can't have more land for ourselves. Even though you play talking about the former prime minister say he paid some kind of debt. But did he insist and say he get back the land for the people? That's the question we're asking the former prime minister and even Denzel Douglas, who said there was 8 land of estate within 60 square mile. But he still take the land with a historical and sell it to white man. Cheaters around here to all people, man. But anyway, the way is enough for the safe. Who can enjoy it, my brethren? Give thanks for the word, sound, and power. May you have a joyful night because time longer than twine. A fire but not coming to looking at I go on you for our poor and upcoming people. Blessed love. Give thanks.
Give thanks, my dear brother, Ras Ayo. But the point we are making, and we have made all night, and we've made it before, is that this East Coast Housing Development Project, it's laced, has to be laced with corruption. And we must ask the questions we must ask. Who evaluated this $600 million project? $1.5 billion Trinidad dollar project. Was it special advisor to the Prime Minister, Leonato? Why would a company that never constructed one house, why would they be awarded a contract to build 2,400 houses? This is a sole source procurement for 2,400 houses. And the due administration must inform the country whether it was solicited or unsolicited, and or whether these houses could have only been constructed by this single source. These are some of the questions we need to ask, and there are many more. Let's go back to the lines and thank this caller for holding. Caller, you live.
Good night, Patrice.
Good night, my dear brother.
And to your guests, dear, good night to your guests. You have a guest?
No, I don't have a guest.
I thought you had a guest. Sorry about that. I thought you had a guest.
You're being facetious, dear, my brother. But I understand. I hope you understand. He was making a point. He was making a point, and he gave us some background. Took some time, yes, but I believe he brought real context to what's going on, though. But
and let me tell you, good night, straight talk. Can't let you out, and all the good people who listen to straight talk for facts and things that are happening in our federation. Well, that is, I want to say something. Let me start with this one while it's fresh. I want to say to Dr. Joe, that is your topic tonight is what?
Greatest betrayal of the poor.
Right, thank you, the word betrayal. Dr. Joe, I want to tell you, stop betraying people. Now, Taiwan has been helping St. Kitts and Nevis Federation since they get independence. There are many things around St. Kitts and Nevis put up and sent, donated to St. Kitts and Nevis from Taiwan. And we know what China got to Taiwan. If China could wipe off Taiwan off the earth, they will do it. Because China want to dictate to Taiwan. And Taiwan ain't decided for it to happen. Because China don't want to help anybody because of humanitarianism. And you going to talk about you bring in Brian, what he named from Taiwan, from China. And the other one there, Mills. Not Mills. What the name again, brother? That Kung Fu.
Now, let's get it clear. Brian Singh is from Trinidad and Tobago.
Okay, yeah, that's a Trinidad. Yeah.
Jerry sounds English, but he says he lives in China.
He lives in China?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, why should Dr. Judem go to anybody in China to come here to say the building house and leave out Taiwan? Taiwan would have come and give us the money one time and build up the house with them. Anyway, that's a betrayal to Taiwan. Now, the school over here, the Bible says, train up a child the way he should go. When he's old, he will not and shall not depart from it. Now, the Explorer Club has a lot of young children who are vulnerable to get into negative activities. Train them up, and the parents them are proud of that. Because when the children go astray and they commit the crime, adults like to say, oh, them they're rude. The parents not train them up. Now we got people who cares about them. The police and the two police who spoke and all the other workers them who walking with the children them. Why should they go on and break up the club and then move the woman police and bring her in town to want her to come in town to go up and beat when the woman is doing a great job for the country with the explorers? That's the reason why they formed the Cadet Corps. Because the Cadet Corps don't move on to better things. The who ain't gone in police, gone in the defense force. And the Cadet Corps is a form of training for youth so that they do not go astray. Mr. Policeman in charge, who sent out what he sent out there and want the people them to retract what the statement, what they put on Facebook or whatever it is. That is pure politics you all playing. Politics with the police force. And they used to criticize and say that Dr. Harris, as Minister of Finance, got his hand on the police force. So why are you doing? Why are you doing with the police? Let the people them do their work. They help to keep the community safe. Look at the amount of crime going on around here. Shooting and all kind of thing. I'm sure some of them never in any Cadet Corps. Not an Explorers Club. And if you're going to mash up the Explorers Club, you better get something better than that to put here. Now look at Nevis again. Look what happened there just Friday or Saturday, the big robbery up there. And a lot of these things are wrong. But there are causes why they do some of these things. I'm not saying the causes are right. A lot of these causes are wrong. But a lot of these guys, if they had work and they were getting pay, the fair share of work and the fair share of pay, they would not go around robbing people. They're robbing people for money. I don't know if work is up there, but they better provide work. I'll come back, Patches. I'll come back here. A lot of people waiting for a long time to get here. So I'll come back with one more little catapult.
Thank you very much. And brother, this email reads, let's try to dispense the emails. Patches, good evening. What is really going on? What is really going on in the Department of Technology that Congress is the minister and his auntie is the permanent secretary? Now, Patches, imagine Congress has not come as yet still to have any meeting whatsoever with the staff for almost a year. It seems as though whatever she tells Congress, he takes. Well, the workers would like Congress to know that this is not so. Patches, imagine that woman, his auntie, has gone so far now with no kind of compassion whatever for the staff. I was reliably informed that effective today, Congress sent a directive to the staff sitting at the front to no longer accept any emails or mails for her. Her directive was to let certain individuals to sign her mails. Now, Patches, what is Labour, Congress, and his wife on trying to do? The staff at the Department of Technology says they don't care because she's trying to blame her incompetence on them. The staff has said that she has no money, she has no memory, beg your pardon. Every document that she goes into office gets lost. And that is why she needs to go along with Jew, Congress, and Labour. Congress, they also want you to know that you can never come. Boy, they know that 2027 will come if you and Labour remain that long in office. Thank you. Patches, read that email. Let's go back to the line at 9:26. I want to thank this caller for holding. Call you live. Hello.
Hey, Patches.
Yes, sir.
This is Doug, man. How you doing?
This is who?
Doug, Mexico boy.
Ah, you're the man of meal.
Yeah, bien.
How are you?
I just want to call and I ask you a few questions here. Over a month ago, I went on Congress website because he has areas where you can pull out and actually contact him and ask him questions. I have some property down in the West Palm Boys area, and it's been there for years. And I was speaking to Pa the other day and giving him some ideas on what I think I would want to do with it. So he's going to be looking into that part for me, but I told him that I need to find out more about the infrastructure down in that area. He gave me Dr. Douglas's number and said we must call him, and Dr. Douglas probably will be able to help me out. When I called Dr. Douglas, he was in chambers, and he got out of chambers, and he took my call. He was very, very professional when he spoke to me, and he said, well, down there it belongs to Congress, and presently now Congress also is in chambers. I'm going to take your information, and when I go back in, I'm going to give it to him and tell him to call you. Within 3 to 4 minutes after Douglas called me, hung up from me, he called me back and said, give me your full name. I gave it to him. That is for days went by. I get no call from Congress. No call at all from Congress. So I went back to Pa and I said, hey man, Congress ain't called me. He said, what I'm going to do for you, I'm going to give you Congress direct number. Call him and tell him I gave it to you, and you are the guy who Dr. Douglas told him to call. I called on 3 separate occasions, and you can tell he hung up on me. The next day I went back, I had a friend visiting from New York, so the Jacksonville area code is 904, so I said, let me use the New York area code. I got him. And I, refresh him. He said, oh, I'm going to tell you what. I'm going into a meeting now as soon as I get out. I'm going to call you back. The guy gone again. I still cannot hear from Congress. I contacted one of my schoolmates who is an ambassador in the Prime Minister's office. And he took my information. You know who it is because we all grew up together. He went down and gave them my information in Congress's office to call me. They ain't called me back. I called him back again. I say, up to now, these people ain't called me back. He said, well, they gone on a trip, but they had enough time to call you back. They should have called you back. Up to now, going in with me trying to contact Congress and have a call come back to me, or he refer me to where I can get my information. It's over 6 weeks. I don't think the people of think it elected him to treat people like that. I know I don't live in St. Kitts, I'm not into politics, but I'm a taxpayer who pay my taxes in St. Kitts for my properties. So if I need information for me to decide what I want to do with my properties in the boys area down there, somebody should make the time at least to give me a call. If they don't have it, to refer me to the information. Congress is acting like actually the people of St. Kitts elected him as a Calypsonian, and he thinking he have enough time on hand to finish the song. But I don't think that actually that's why they selected him. They acted, the guy is supposed to be there for the people, doing the people's work, and not blowing off people. So he needs to get out of this Calypsonian mode and start taking care of the people.
So you spoke with him, you said, didn't you?
Yes, and he told me he going into a meeting and he gonna call me right back when he come out, and he ain't called me up yet.
So would you try calling him again, though?
Since that?
Would you try?
No, when I try calling back now, I called back with my connection. Hutu provided them with the information. They said he went on a trip overseas, and the same guy to the But before that, everybody know that he had enough time to call me before, because there is months now I'm trying to get information about my property down in the West Palm Boys area. I know I am a guy that actually got property in other foreign places where I was born. I don't have problems with like what I having to do anything in St. Kitts where I was born.
Yes, well,
go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I hope, well, they listen to the program, that's for one, and obviously he knows you haven't spoken with him before, so even though he's in Taiwan, I don't know what this time differential there now, I'm sure he'll be told about it, and it's good that Douglas at least reached out to you and got to him, so whatever the issues are, I trust they will be resolved.
Yeah, Douglas was marvelous. He handled the situation as a professional, but Congress is acting like a entertainer and don't realize that actually he's here to do the people's work, okay, and he has to work with the people out there.
Okay,
that's my problem with Congress. I am not affiliated with no party in St. Kitts. But actually, I do pay taxes in St. Kitts. I'm a taxpayer in St. Kitts. Okay, yes, and somewhere I need to get information.
I'm a proud citizen, so if in any way I can assist you, though, my brother, please feel free to call me, though. Okay?
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks.
Hey, take care, man.
Thanks a lot for your input.
Right.
Coming there from Florida or Mexico, or both.
Well, I am a man that always around between Mexico and Florida.
Okay, my brother. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, have a nice night, my brother. Thank you for calling. Yes, that's what happens when you have politicians like Congress Maynard. But we know sometime, and we trust and hope he'll finish his song, as that caller is suggesting, Congress, get out of your calypso mode and try to serve your constituents. Good evening, Patches. Reads this email. Prime Minister Joe is sinking the place deeper and deeper in debt. Boy, I tell you, with the worst Labour government ever, here, there, and everywhere, worst Labour government. There's a prophet in Africa who told his followers, if they want to see Jesus, they must first starve themselves. And guess what? They did. With what land Douglas talking about? Not the land he sold. Not who stole money from the cookie jar. The country in red, but yet he never in the red country. That's not good. A good look, reads this email. This other email reads, my Stray Dog family, let me get dispense of these emails. Good evening, Mr. Liburd. I'm a single mother of 3, 2 young boys and a teenage girl of 14. I receive no financial support from their father. I have to support them from my small wage of just $400 a week. I am trying my very best. Sometimes I work a second job. I need a house. My rent is $175 a week. But sir, how can I afford these prices stated by the Deputy Prime Minister? How can I afford $289,000? How can this be affordable for poor single mothers like me? Reads this email. And this other email reads, my Stray Dog family. Dear Patches, thanks to be live and government ministers listening to you, because I given an award at fire services ceremony for years of service to protect this country. I chose to vote country above self. My check for a piece of land is being rejected, and I'm mad. Thanks to be live and government ministers listen to you. And well, he's repeating that. He's giving a award at the services. But that's what this email reads. It's 9:36, my Stray Dog family. And for those who may have just joined me, tonight, my thesis I've entitled The Greatest Betrayal of the Poor. And the content of my thesis, for those who may have just joined me, relates to several betrayals. And we took an historical perspective as it relates to the Labour Party. We made the point that the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party, dependent upon the source of your information, you would read that it's a center-left political party. That's according to Wikipedia. However, you may glean from its website that the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party is a social democratic party that was formed in 1932. I read that myself from their website. Originally, as it states, as a workers' league, and was an organization that was brought into existence to give ordinary people a voice in the social, economic, and political development of the country. We looked at social democracy, which it is said is a political ideology responsible for promoting the direct intervention of the state in the economy in the context of a capitalist society. The objective of such an intervention is to be able to redistribute income in a more social way, ensuring the welfare state and the general interest. And its main goal is to reduce levels of inequality within an economy. We reflected on our days growing up when we were taught that the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party represented the majority of the working people, or, as we put it, the masses, as it would say, who were then referred to as the common people of society, who were mostly agricultural workers and of a low status, my Straight Dog family. But let's go back to the lines, and I'll get back to that. Let's go to the lines and thank this caller for holding, and caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Yeah, Mr. Patrick, good night.
Yes, sounds like the Bible man. Good night. How about thou, sir?
I'm fine, sir. I have every time I reach on the air, I got some things to tell you. Now, first, people must read the Bible and understand what the Bible says, because we are living in last and closing days of time. Now, in Jeremiah, I'm going to Jeremiah, I'm going to Isaiah, and I'm going to Lamentation. Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 9. to verse 9 and 10. Hear what the word of God says in Jeremiah. The heart is deceitful and about all things, and desperate. Who can know it but God? Who can know it? I, the Lord, searcheth the heart. I try the reins, even to give every man according to his ways and according to his fruit of his doing. That's number one. I want in number two, in Lamentation chapter 3, I've been hearing some people say upon our radio station today, some ignorant things, and I've been moved to really read this two parts of scripture. It is the Lord's mercy that we are not consumed, because his compassion faileth not. They are new every morning. Great is thy faithfulness. Mr. Patches, a lot of people play with God. And you know when we thank God for that we are not under the love, Mr. Patches. Now, in Isaiah 56, verse 10 and 11. Now, I want everybody who are sound of my voice, that they will read this passage of scripture and read the Bible too, that God is coming soon and he has sent out a warning. And when the day comes, everything what's happening now, they have to give an account to it. He's talking about his watchman here, how they are blind, how they are ignorant. They are like a dumb dog, cannot back. They're slain and waiting in slumber. He's talking about how they're greedy. They're a greedy dog. He's talking about they don't have enough. And they can't understand, and they go their own way. God don't make joke. Mr. Padgett, I take the time to come on your straight talk and talk what does said the Lord. So I am leaving that somebody who hear me will really read the passage of scripture what I said tonight, that they will understand that the Lord is not making joke. I am not making a joke with the Lord at all. Because, brother, I could go sleep tonight, and it's God's mercy while me gonna live tomorrow morning. For me not take the chances. Okay? So, Mr. Patrick, you have a pleasant night. And may the good Lord bless you and keep you. And I am not going to play around with God at all. Because he tell me in Psalm 37, I mustn't fret myself because of evildoers. Neither be envious again to work out of iniquity, for the soon shall cut down like a grass. He tell me I mustn't sweat myself, so me not do nothing. When trouble come, I put them in a hand. So good night, Mr. Badges.
Good night, my dear brother John, the Bible man. Always want to thank you for your intervention and your Bible verses. But it's 14 before 10 o'clock. You may have joined me late, my Straight Dog family. But we made the point that the majority of our people remain landless. They have no access to land. They do not privately own land. But what about housing? What is the current disposition of housing in St. Kitts and Nevis? Let's go to the lines and get back to that. Caller, you live. Hello, caller. Okay, we seem to have lost a call. But I was saying, but according to Drew's special advisor in housing, he gave us a synopsis of the current situation. Caller, you live. Hello, caller.
Yes. Okay, Patches, yes.
Yes, sir.
Patches, I want to tell you something. Thank God for you and your program. And please don't ease up on your program, Patches. I will encourage you to continue. Because a lot of people listen to your program, and it has hurt a lot of people because your program brings out the truth. Nothing but the truth. And a lot of people are trying to spin what is being said on your program. And I want to tell such persons, they try to muzzle you from bringing out the truth here, and they also try to muzzle me. But nobody can muzzle me but God. I was put here in this world by the Creator. And that is the reason why me cannot read political, radical culture. I am very selective in what radio station program I listen to. You hear that? I'm selective. I don't listen to nonsense, trash, or garbage, because I don't work for solid waste. I want to say to the people of St. Kitts, I know that a lot of people afraid of victimization because of the situation they are in, whether it's employment or close or assistance from some people. But if they use the word, I am a labor, they will never be victimized. But as long as you don't use that word, and what makes it worse, if you say you're a unity member or PAM, even the unity break up, PAM still around, or you are a PLP, that even make the fire hotter. They don't want nobody around them with that deal. Well, I am saying to these people, remember Dr. Joe, own mouth said, just in the campaign trail, to fool people to vote for him, to put him in there. Which you know that he cannot run no government, because he could hardly run his office never mind a country. When he get in there, he's going to pay $500 per week, the minimum wage. And he's going to step up the pop or whatever paper or whatever it is, $1,500 a month. None of those two promises has been done. None. That's two big lies he tells to the country. And I want people to understand, don't be afraid to speak out. You don't have to call the name. To speak, because it is affecting you. You are a citizen in this country. Every citizen has a right to live as God put us here to live, not live by a dictator who wants you to go and buy lobster and steak dinner when they're paying you roast prat and potato pay. That is what happening to them now that they ain't raise up nobody in money. They're paying them roast prat and potato pay salary, and they're telling you that you must go buy steak and lobster dinner. They think people foolish. People need to stand up and strike, demonstrate, show them that we ain't in no nonsense with them no more. Look at Dr. Joe. Nearly 10 months of here and 10 months yet he in there. And the Attorney General commit a crime, and he's supposed to tell the Attorney General, you need to step down. You're not supposed to be in here putting down orders and laws in Parliament. You have no moral authority to be doing that. They used to say, Dr. Harris paying a load of us to talk on the radio. Well, me let them know by talking on radio long before Dr. Harris leaves school. So how could I get paid? And look, Dr. Harris ain't in no office. And look how he's still talking. What he doing me? He pay me with the cigarette card to mark down how much 1 and 6 he owe me. It's my conscience why I'm speaking. And that's the reason why I chose to speak and straight talk. Because you don't fabricate nothing. You come with the facts and the truth and you listen to everybody. Let us talk about who they paying who they give $50,000 to hush them out, patches. Hush. Somebody don't talk no more and abuse nobody. They get $50,000 to hush. And that's the reason why people don't hear them. Let them find out who that be. Patches, good night. Time is going up. You have a safe journey home, wherever you may be.
Thank you very much.
Until we catch up Thursday.
Thank you very much, my dear brother. This email reads, Patches, if Prime Minister Drew and Leon Category 10 NATO don't know what they are going to get from East Coast housing development as to quality, how can they agree to $1.5 billion for 2,400 houses? This thing is not making any kind of sense. Thievingness in the dirty project, reads that email. My Straight Talk family, it's 7 before the 10 o'clock hour as we wind down tonight's programming. We made the point that our people are landless. Although the lands were acquired in 1975 in the name of the people, the lands were not distributed, neither by Bradshaw, Simmons, Douglas, or Harris, or prime ministers before. But what about housing? The National Housing Corporation has been given the mandate since 1996 to provide affordable and low-cost housing for the poor and the vulnerable in our country. My Straight Talk family, the right to housing is a human right that is critical to a person's health, dignity, safety, inclusion, and contribution to their community. Excuse me. Governments, I believe, in addition, have a social obligation to provide affordable housing for all citizens. I said before that the NHC Act was established for the purpose of adding and improving the existing supply of residential housing and to encourage and promote greater efficiency in the housing sector. The NHC Act further specifies that the functions of the corporation shall be, amongst other things, and we read subsection 1, section 1, beg your pardon, subsection C, to provide housing for the indigent and infirm. Those are the words written in the legislation. For the poor. Provide housing for the poor. But Dr. Drew has ignored this instruction and the mandate given through legislation and the obligation of his government, and has replaced it with a private agreement with East Coast Housing Development. It is a betrayal of the poor people of St. Kitts Nevis to sign a contract with one Trinidad man to build 2,400 houses. He give one man 2,400 houses to build, then come to tell us that local contractors will build them. Jew has decided that he will pay more to earn profit rather than building quality houses. He continues to kick the people while they are down. Dr. Jew, my straight talk family is heartless. He fabricates, he tells lots of lies. Look at what he did with the thousands of people in St. Kitts Nevis who live below the poverty line. The betrayal has been most stinging for them from politicians who promise a new day and a better way. He promised to mend PAP, but instead he plans to end PAP, which has been so helpful for so many of the poor people in St. Kitts and Nevis. Jew promised to increase the minimum wage to $500 and to introduce price control legislation so that the poor can have more money in their pockets, more disposable income, to say the least, my straight dog family. Another betrayal that was for the poor. Jew announced that several investors who were waiting on the Labour Party have come forward. Again, he betrayed the country with his ambitious plans to stimulate the economy and create so many jobs. But we ask, was Brian Singh of Trinidad one of these investors that Jew said was waiting for a change? That's a fair question. Was another investor living in China called Jerry, my straight dog family? That's a fair question to ask, because this Jerry seemed to have come forward and spoke in Guyana, of all places. Jerry was being interviewed, my straight dog family, and said this.
I live in China. My partner in China, we export all the goods throughout the CARICOM. So basically, everything comes into Guyana, and from Guyana, then is shipped throughout the CARICOM.
And that's Jerry. But what caused Dr. Drew to just literally hand Brian Singh this lucrative contract to supply 2,400 houses? We soon found out as well that the manufacturing of the fiber cement boards was critical to the success of this project. And Jerry was setting up a factory in St. Kitts here to manufacture those boards.
We're actually bringing in a team to set up the factory and to instruct the local contractors how to use preform.
But what is baffling, my straight dog family, in this deal is the construction of 2 model homes stipulated in the contract. And that's baffling.
What this government put in place, the government said, look, in this arrangement, let us build 2 modular homes. 2 modular homes. It doesn't matter the size or whatever, 2 modular homes. After completing those 2 modular homes, we will decide if those houses are of the liking of the government via the people. Once these houses are acceptable, then it's, as you say, go man go. Let us build. After that, in 1 year, we will deliver 600.
My straight dog family, there's no reference point whatsoever about the creed form method or system to be used. So with abating breath, the country is still waiting.
We have projects in St. Kitts, but because of the pandemic, everything stopped. And now we feel that this is the right time to start the process again. So we're the company registered, now we're promoting the system, and we're giving a promotion of $54 per square foot.
But through it all, my Straight Talk family, what is really troubling is the fact that quality housing is being sacrificed for money and for profit. The poor quality housing solution introduced in a hurry and shrouded in secrecy will no doubt negatively impact upon the lives of a significant proportion of low-income households in St. Kitts in terms of their health and well-being, as well as the financial burden to which they will be exposed over the life of the loan on these properties, if at all it goes anywhere. We doubt it will. But this project is laced with corruption. And many questions must be asked. One, who evaluated this $600 million project? Was it special advisor on housing to the Prime Minister, Leonato? Why would a company that never constructed one house be awarded a contract to build 2,400 houses? I said before, my Straight Talk family, that this was a sole source procurement for 2,400 houses. And by that I mean, there was no tender, there was no bid, there was no procurement, no nothing. Nothing at all. And the country needs to know. Ill-advised NATO said that there is no procurement needed for the largest single investment ever in housing.
NAC doesn't have a building procurement process to build house. NAC builds house as it mandates by the NAC Act to build house, low income affordable houses.
So there's no procurement process that is needed for
an investment like this. There is none.
Imagine that, my Straight Dog family. It happened in spite of the opinion of Attorney General Garth Lucien Wilkin. But Garth Lucien Wilkin has lost any moral authority himself, since he too has broken the law, although he advised about procurement.
Our Procurement Act requires that there be a competitive bidding process. You create a Procurement Act so that when the government is spending money, it's known openly that it's getting value for money. Because they have some people who charge $5 for a service, and they have some people that charge $2,000 for the same service. Within the Act itself, it is a crime to breach the Act. It's a crime to enter into a contract without the procurement process being completed.
My Shezak family, Dr. Jew promised a new day and a better way. He has lost his moorings, and Jew need to be relieved of his duties. He has wrecked the peace. So comes the murders once again. My Straight Dog family, the health sector is deteriorating daily under Dr. Jew. In a storm, most boats look for a safe harbor. The fact, though, my Straight Talk family, is this. In the $600 million US project to construct these substandard houses, East Coast Housing Development, it is anticipated, would deal a profit of $282.9 million for all the stakeholders. And my Straight Talk family, as I said, never built a house. Never. There's no record. There's no reference point for East Coast Housing Development. Never built a house. And how on earth can we allow them to build 2,400 houses in St. Kitts and Nevis, yielding a profit of $282.9 million. And this, to me, is the greatest betrayal of the poor. That's my story for tonight, and I am not going to change it. But my Straight Talk family, my time is done, and I'm going to run. I want to thank Almighty God for guiding our conversation tonight, and as always, I want to thank you, the many who listen via social media, on my YouTube and my Facebook platforms. Those who sent emails, and those of you who called. Remember, every single one of you make Straight Talk. And for that reason, I say a big, big thank you. I am Ian Patches Liburd, and in God's Spear, we will connect on Thursday for another edition of Straight Talk. Until that time, be good to yourselves and to all whom you meet. Do things in moderation. And remember that whatever your mind conceive, that you will achieve. But first of all, you just got to believe. So when you wake in the morning, thank God for the morning light. Thank Him for taking you through the night. And my Straight Talk family, keep moving on. Bye-bye. Until we connect on Thursday.
The morning, I thank God for the morning light. Give Him thanks and praises for taking me safely through the night. For the rest of food and loving care, and for my mother's breath of life that's got me here. So whatever my mind conceives, that I will achieve, you better believe, because I do the things I should, be to my brethren kind and good, the best I could. So I'll keep moving on, I won't stop now, I'll keep moving on, till I reach the top somehow, down on my knees. The Lord I kneel and pray, with my heart and soul, beg Him to take me through each day, my guardian to keep.